The space battle began with flashes of light that could be seen from Earth's surface. Overlord Veltar's hardline fleet opened fire on the human ships, their ancient weapons cutting through space with deadly precision. But the humans fought back with surprising effectiveness, their ships dodging and weaving through the alien assault. Captain Do-hyun Park commanded the human fleet from the bridge of his flagship. Around him, his crew worked with calm efficiency despite facing technology far older than their civilization. "Target their weapon systems," he ordered. "We're not here to destroy them, just to protect our home." The battle took an unexpected turn when Caretaker moved between the two fleets. The ancient ship's defenses absorbed the worst of the alien fire, protecting the human vessels from destruction. At the same time, it broadcast a continuous stream of information that began to affect both sides of the conflict. "What is that ship transmitting?" asked Lieutenant Soo-Jin Lee, her instruments struggling to process the complex data streams. "History," replied Caretaker's voice in her mind. The true story of what the Gardeners were meant to be. On the alien flagship, chaos erupted as younger officers led by Zephyron confronted their commander. The information from Caretaker had revealed the hidden history of their people, how they had once been explorers and teachers, helping young civilizations grow and flourish across the galaxy. "You lied to us," Zephyron accused Veltar. "The Gardener ships weren't destroyed in battle. Your faction eliminated them because they opposed the hegemony's turn toward conquest and control." Veltar's three eyes blazed with anger, but also with something that might have been shame. They were weak. They would have made us servants to primitive species instead of their rightful masters. The battle continued to rage around them, but more alien ships began to withdraw from the fight. The crews had heard Caretaker's song and remembered what their ancestors had once stood for. Some even turned their weapons against Veltar's remaining loyalists. Dr. Han Sol Kim, still connected to Caretaker through her work in the ship's data cores, found herself serving as a translator between species. She could feel the ancient intelligence sharing its knowledge with everyone who was willing to listen. "The ship isn't just showing us the past," she reported to Secretary General Tae-jun Yoon via secure communication. "It's offering to share technology that could benefit both humans and aliens. But only if we choose cooperation over conflict." The turning point came when Representative Sora Kim, who had been humanity's strongest voice for independence from alien influence, made an unexpected broadcast to both fleets. Her image appeared on screens throughout the battle zone. "I have spent weeks arguing that we must reject any alien claim on humanity," she said. "I still believe that. But I have learned something important. Rejecting their claims doesn't mean rejecting their people. We can choose our own path while still walking it together." Her words resonated with both humans and aliens who were tired of fighting over ancient grievances. More ships withdrew from the battle, their crews choosing dialogue over destruction. Overlord Veltar found himself increasingly isolated as his own officers refused to continue the attack. Even his personal guard began to question orders that seemed more about pride than justice. "My lord," said Captain Cordon, commander of Veltar's escort ships, "perhaps it is time to reconsider our position. The humans have shown they will fight to defend their home, but they have not sought to attack our core fleet. They want peace, not war." Veltar's pride warred with his growing realization that he was fighting a losing battle, not just militarily but morally. The information streaming from Caretaker showed how far the hegemony had fallen from its original ideals. The decisive moment came when Soo-Jin Lee, working with Caretaker's guidance, managed to establish a direct communication link between all the ships in both fleets. For the first time, humans and aliens could speak directly to each other without going through their leaders. "We don't want to be your enemies," broadcast Chief Engineer Park Min-ho from one of the human cruisers. "We learned from your technology, but we built our civilization with our own hands and hearts. And we have learned from watching you grow," replied Lieutenant Yeltar from one of the alien vessels. "You achieved in 30,000 years what took us millions. Perhaps we could learn more by working together." The conversation spread throughout both fleets. Scientists shared theories, engineers compared designs, and soldiers spoke of their hopes for peace. The barriers between species began to crumble as individuals chose understanding over fear. Dr. Kyung-ho Lim, monitoring the situation from Earth, made the final discovery that changed everything. His analysis of the genetic data revealed that humans weren't just enhanced by alien DNA. They had contributed something back. The hybrid genetics had evolved in directions that even the original gardeners hadn't anticipated. "We're not just their creation," he announced to the world. "We're something new, a combination of their knowledge and our innovation, their genetics and our environment. We're the children of two worlds, but we've become something neither parent could have imagined." This revelation finally broke through Veltar's stubborn pride. If humans were truly something new and unique, then they deserved the right to choose their own destiny. The ancient right of creators to control their creations no longer applied. "Enough," he broadcast to his remaining loyalist ships. "Stand down. We will negotiate." The ceasefire took effect immediately. Both fleets pulled back to safe distances while their leaders prepared for a new round of discussions. But this time the talks would be between equals, not between masters and subjects. Secretary General Taijun Yun proposed the creation of the Sol Compact, an alliance between progressive humans and aliens dedicated to exploration and mutual advancement. The agreement would recognize human independence while establishing frameworks for cooperation and knowledge sharing. Caretaker, speaking through Dr. Hansol, offered to serve as a bridge between species. The ancient ship contained not just the history of the gardeners, but fragments of knowledge from hundreds of civilizations that had been guided over millions of years. "There are other worlds out there," Caretaker explained. "Other species that were seeded by the gardeners and then forgotten when the hegemony turned inward. With this ship as our guide, we could reconnect the scattered children of the galaxy." The signing ceremony took place aboard Caretaker itself, in a great hall that the ship created especially for the occasion. Representatives from both species sat together, planning not just peace between their peoples, but a new age of exploration and discovery. Zephron and Admiral Youngmi Choi were chosen to co-chair the new Alliance Council, while Sujin Lee was selected as the primary interface with Caretaker's advanced systems. She would help both species understand and use the ship's incredible capabilities. Captain Do-hyun Park, promoted to Admiral for his role in the peaceful resolution, was given command of the First Joint Exploration Fleet. His mission? To seek out other civilizations that might be descendants of the ancient Gardener missions. As the combined human-alien fleet prepared for its first joint mission, children from both species began attending schools together on Luna City and other space stations. They learned each other's languages, shared their cultures, and played games that would have been impossible for either species alone. Dr. Han-Sol Kim established the Xenoarchaeological Institute, dedicated to studying the remnants of ancient civilizations throughout the galaxy. Her first major project would be cataloging the thousands of species records contained in Caretaker's vast memory banks. The story concluded with a scene aboard one of the new exploration ships. 6 months after the first contact crisis, Admiral Do-hyun stood on the bridge beside his alien counterpart, Commander Zephron, as they approached a star system where Caretaker's sensors had detected signs of technological civilization. "Ready to meet our distant cousins?" Zephron asked, his translator rendering the alien humor perfectly. Do-hyun smiled as he watched the unknown world grow larger on their screens. "After everything we've learned, I think we're ready for anything the universe wants to show us." Behind them, in the depths of space, Caretaker sang its ancient song to civilizations that had been waiting 30,000 years to hear it again. The galaxy was no longer a collection of isolated worlds, but a family finally coming home. The first alien attack came without warning. 3 small ships broke away from the main fleet and headed directly for Antarctica. Their mission was simple: reclaim the buried vessel by force and eliminate any humans who stood in their way. Captain Do-hyun Park received the alert while his ship patrolled the outer system. "All units converge on Earth immediately. The aliens are making their move." The human defense ships moved to intercept, but the alien vessels were faster and more maneuverable. They slipped past the orbital defenses and entered Earth's atmosphere like silver bullets cutting through the sky. In the Antarctic Research Facility, alarms screamed as radar detected the incoming ships. Dr. Jin Woo-an ordered immediate evacuation, but Dr. Han-Sol Kim refused to leave her post inside the buried vessel. "I need more time," she insisted, her hands working frantically at the alien ship's control interface. "I'm so close to understanding how it communicates." The alien ships landed on the ice above the excavation site. Their hulls opened like flowers blooming, and armed soldiers emerged. These beings were different from the diplomatic delegation, taller, more heavily built. with weapons that hummed with contained energy. "Surrender the facility," their leader broadcast in accented English. "You are trespassing on property of the hegemony." Jin Wu activated the research station's defensive systems. The humans had not been idle during 50 years of studying alien technology. Their weapons were crude compared to alien designs, but they were numerous and determined. The battle began as energy beams lanced across the ice. Human soldiers, trained and equipped with the best technology available, found themselves outmatched by beings with thousands of years of military experience. But they fought with the desperation of those defending their home. Deep inside the buried ship, Hansol felt the vessel respond to the violence above. The walls around her began to pulse with increasing brightness, and she heard something that made her heart stop, a voice, speaking directly into her mind. "Daughter of two worlds," the voice said, gentle but ancient beyond measure. "You have cared for me during my long sleep. Now I must wake to protect what I have nurtured." The ship was alive, truly completely alive. Not just a machine with biological components, but a conscious being that had been watching over humanity for 30,000 years. "You're the ship," Hansol whispered. "You can think and feel?" "I am caretaker," the voice replied. "I was sent by the gardeners long ago to plant and tend new life. But I have become more than my creators intended. I have learned to love what I have helped to grow." Above them, the battle was going badly for the humans. The alien soldiers advanced steadily toward the excavation site, their superior weapons cutting through human defenses. But as they approached the ship, something extraordinary happened. The ice began to crack and shift. The massive alien vessel, buried for 30,000 years, began to rise from its frozen tomb. Its organic hull gleamed with inner light as it shed ice and rock like an awakening giant. Young engineer Sujin Lee, monitoring the situation from Captain Do Hyun's ship, watched in amazement as her sensors recorded impossible readings. "Captain, that ship is generating more power than a small star. And it's singing." The song was heard by every human and alien in the solar system. It came through their communication systems, their computers, even their dreams. It was a melody of growth and hope, of life reaching toward the stars, of children taking their first steps into a larger universe. On the alien flagship, Overlord Veltar staggered as the song reached him. It was a frequency he remembered from his youth, from the ancient days when the hegemony still believed in nurturing rather than conquering. "That's impossible," he whispered. "The caretaker ships were destroyed millions of years ago. My ancestors ordered their elimination." Zephron, who had been studying human culture and growing more sympathetic to their cause, suddenly understood. "You destroyed them because they questioned your authority, because they believed in cooperation instead of domination." The awakening ship lifted completely free of the ice, revealing its true size. It was enormous, dwarfing even the largest human vessels. Its organic curves seemed to breathe with life, and patterns of light flowed across its surface like rivers of starlight. Dr. Hansol found herself in direct mental contact with the ancient intelligence. "Why are you helping us?" she asked. "Because you have become what my creators once were before they lost their way," Caretaker replied. "You explore not to conquer but to understand. You fight not to dominate but to protect. You are what the gardeners were meant to be." The alien soldiers on the ice found their weapons suddenly useless. The ship's defensive systems, more advanced than anything the current hegemony possessed, neutralized their technology with gentle pulses of energy. They stood helpless as the vessel they had come to claim rose majestically into the sky. Captain Do Hyun received new orders from Admiral Youngmi Choi. "All ships, stand ready but do not attack. Let's see what this ancient ship intends to do." Caretaker moved through space like a living thing, its movements graceful and purposeful. It positioned itself between the human fleet and the alien vessels, clearly choosing sides in the coming conflict. "Hegemony Fleet," the ship broadcast on all frequencies. "I am Caretaker, last of the gardener ships you thought destroyed. I claim these humans under the ancient protection protocols. They are not your property. They are my children." Veltar's response crackled with rage and disbelief. "Impossible. You are a tool, a machine built to serve. You have no right to claim anything." "I was built to nurture life and guide young civilizations," Caretaker replied. "These humans have grown beyond what you could imagine. They have earned the right to choose their own path." Sujin Lee, who had always felt a strange connection to alien technology, suddenly found herself linked to Caretaker's consciousness. The ship spoke to her as it had to Han Sol, recognizing something special in the young engineer. "You understand our technology because you carry our gift," Caretaker explained. "But more than that, you have the spark of curiosity that drives all growth. Will you help me show both our peoples what cooperation can achieve?" The battle lines were drawn. On one side, the hegemony fleet with its overwhelming firepower and ancient arrogance. On the other, the human defense force with their determination and courage. Between them, a single ancient ship that had watched over humanity since their earliest days. But the real battle would not be fought with weapons. It would be fought with ideas, with the question of whether the future belonged to those who sought to control or those who chose to grow. As the two fleets faced each other across the void of space, Caretaker began to sing again. This time the song carried information, the true history of the Gardeners, the story of how they had seeded life across the galaxy, and the tragedy of how they had forgotten their own purpose. Some of the alien ships began to power down their weapons. The younger crews, led by officers like Zephyron, remembered the old stories and began to question whether their mission was just. But Veltar and his hardliners prepared for battle, determined to reclaim their property regardless of the cost. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, decided not by force but by the choice between the past and the future. Dr. Han Sol Kim stood at the edge of the massive excavation site in Antarctica. The alien ship stretched out below her, its organic curves half buried in ancient ice. For 50 years, human scientists had been carefully studying this vessel, never suspecting that its owners might return to claim it. "The readings are getting stronger," reported Dr. Jin Woo An, the site director. He had spent 20 years working on this project, and his weathered face showed the dedication of someone who had given his life to understanding the unknown. Ever since the alien fleet arrived, the ship's energy output has increased by 300%. Han Sol descended into the excavation on a mechanical lift. The ship's surface was smooth and warm to the touch, more like living skin than metal. Strange patterns of light pulsed beneath the surface, creating a hypnotic display that had fascinated researchers for decades. "Have you tried to communicate with it?" she asked. Jin Woo nodded. "Every method we can think of. Radio waves, light patterns, even direct neural interface attempts. The ship responds to our presence, but we can't establish meaningful contact." Meanwhile, in space above Earth, Captain Do-hyun Park monitored the alien fleet from his command ship. The alien vessels had not moved from their position, but his sensors detected increasing activity within their hulls. Whatever the aliens were planning, they were preparing for action. "Captain," called Lieutenant Sujin Lee from her station. The young engineer had an exceptional talent for understanding alien technology. "I'm detecting some kind of scanning pattern coming from the alien ships. They're looking for something specific." Do-hyun studied the sensor readings. "What kind of something?" "Biological signatures," Sujin replied. "They're not just looking for their ship. They're looking for life forms that match their genetic database." Back in Geneva, the Global Council was in emergency session. Representative Sora Kim stood at the podium, her voice carrying across the assembly hall. "These aliens consider us their property. They speak of seeding our world as if we were crops they planted. We must reject any claim they have on humanity." Secretary General Tae-jun tried to maintain order as voices rose in agreement and disagreement. The revelation that aliens might have influenced human evolution had divided humanity into two camps: those who saw it as an opportunity to learn from advanced beings, and those who viewed it as a threat to human independence. Dr. Kyung-ho Lim had been working without sleep for 3 days, analyzing genetic samples that the aliens had provided during negotiations. His laboratory in Seoul was filled with the most advanced DNA sequencing equipment available, and what he had found was remarkable. "The genetic markers are definitely there," he reported to the assembled scientists via video conference. "Human DNA contains sequences that don't appear in any other Earth species. These sequences match the alien samples exactly. The implications were staggering. Humanity was not purely human after all. They were hybrids, created by mixing alien genetic material with early human ancestors. This explained why humans had been able to understand and use alien technology so effectively." On board the alien flagship, Overlord Veltar reviewed reports from his science teams. "The biological scans confirm it," announced Chief Scientist Mordan. "The inhabitants of this world carry our genetic markers. They are our creations, enhanced with our biological templates. Zephyron, who had been studying human culture since the negotiations began, looked troubled. My lord, if they carry our genetics, does that not make them partially our kin? Should we not treat them as family rather than property? Veltar's three eyes focused on his aide with disapproval. They are enhanced primitives, nothing more. The fact that they carry our genetics proves our right to reclaim them along with our ship. But not all of the alien delegation agreed. Many of the younger officers had been impressed by human achievements. They had watched recordings of human art, music, and literature. They had studied human philosophy and science. What they saw was not primitive beings, but a vibrant civilization that had grown beyond its origins. Dr. Hansol, working deep inside the buried alien ship, made a discovery that changed everything. In what appeared to be the vessel's data storage area, she found files that had been automatically recording for 30,000 years. The ship had been watching and documenting the rise of human civilization. Jinwoo, you need to see this, she called out. The recordings showed human development from the perspective of the alien ship. The first use of fire, the development of agriculture, the building of cities, and finally the reach into space. It's been conscious this entire time, Jinwoo whispered. The ship has been alive and aware, watching us grow. But the most shocking discovery came when Hansol accessed the ship's original mission files. The vessel had not been carrying cargo to another world. It had been on a seeding mission, designed to guide and nurture the development of young civilizations. The cargo was meant to stay on Earth permanently. The aliens lied to us, Hansol realized. This ship was never supposed to leave. It was designed to help us grow into a spacefaring civilization. She tried to access more files, but the ship's security systems blocked her efforts. However, one file opened automatically. It contained a message in perfect English. Greetings, children of two worlds. The time of choice approaches. Above them, the political situation was deteriorating rapidly. Sora Kim had gained support from many human governments who refused to acknowledge any alien claim on humanity or Earth. We will not bow to creatures who abandoned us for 30,000 years. And now return expecting submission. The alien response was swift and harsh. Veltar broadcast a message to all of Earth. You are our creations. Your technology is built from our gifts. Your genetics carry our design. Return what is ours willingly, or we will take it by force. Admiral Young-Mi Choi prepared Earth's defenses for what seemed like inevitable war. Human fleets moved into position around Earth and its colonies, while ground-based weapon systems powered up for the first time since the colony wars 50 years earlier. But in the depths of the Antarctic, something extraordinary was happening. The alien ship was awakening more fully, responding to the crisis above. Dr. Hansol felt a tingling sensation as she worked near the ship's core systems. The vessel seemed to be trying to communicate with her directly. I think it wants to help us, she told Jinwoo. This ship doesn't want war between humans and aliens. Young engineer Sujin Lee, monitoring the situation from orbit, detected massive energy buildups in both the alien fleet and the buried ship. Captain, she reported to Do Hyun, something big is about to happen. The energy readings are off the charts. As tensions reached the breaking point, both sides prepared for a conflict that could determine the future of humanity. But deep beneath the ice, an ancient intelligence that had watched over humanity for 30,000 years was preparing to reveal the truth that neither humans nor aliens fully understood. The ship had not just been recording human development. It had been guiding it, nurturing it, and protecting it. And now, faced with the possibility of war between its creators and its children, it was ready to choose sides. Luna City was humanity's greatest achievement. Built inside massive domes on the moon's surface, it housed 3 million people and served as the gateway to human space. The city's towers reached up toward the transparent ceiling, while gardens and parks created green spaces in the artificial environment. Admiral Young-Mi Choi walked through the diplomatic quarter, her military uniform crisp and formal. Behind her came the human delegation, Secretary General Tae Jun-yoon, Dr. Hansol Kim, and 20 other experts in various fields. They were humanity's best and brightest, chosen to represent the entire species. Are you nervous? Tae-jun asked Young-Mi as they approached the meeting hall. Young-Mi smiled grimly. I've fought space pirates and commanded fleets in 3 different wars, but I've never sat down to dinner with aliens who think they own my home. The meeting hall had been specially prepared for this historic occasion. Human furniture sat on one side of a large table, while the other side had been modified based on scans of the alien visitors. The walls displayed images of human achievements, cities, art, music, and the spreading of human civilization across the stars. Dr. Hansol checked her portable computer one more time. She had loaded it with every piece of information about the artifacts, hoping to find common ground with their creators. The weight of responsibility sat heavy on her shoulders. The alien delegation arrived exactly on time. Overlord Veltar was tall and elegant, his blue-gray skin smooth and unmarked by age. His three eyes moved independently, taking in every detail of the room. Behind him came Zephron, younger and more curious, his gaze lingering on the human technology. "Welcome to Luna City," said Secretary General Tae-jun, rising from his chair. "We hope this meeting will be the beginning of peaceful relations between our peoples." Veltar's translator device converted his words into perfect English. "You speak of your city as if it belongs to you. Yet this moon, this system, was visited by our people long before your species learned to make fire." Admiral Youngmi kept her face neutral, but her hand moved slightly toward her sidearm. The gesture did not go unnoticed by Zephron, who made a similar movement. Dr. Hansol decided to speak. "Overlord Veltar, we have been studying objects that we believe came from your people. Perhaps we can find understanding through shared knowledge." She activated her computer, projecting holographic images of the artifacts into the space above the table. Veltar's three eyes focused immediately on the display. His elegant features showed surprise, then something approaching shock. "These are emergency tools," he said slowly. "Basic equipment for ship repair. How did you acquire them?" "We found them in caves," Hansol explained. "Some were buried under thousands of years of rock and ice. We've been studying them for generations, trying to understand their purpose." Zephron leaned forward, his curiosity overcoming protocol. "What did you learn from them?" Hansol switched to a new display showing human technological development. "These artifacts taught us about quantum mechanics, fusion power, and faster-than-light communication. Our entire civilization was built on understanding the principles we found in your tools." The room fell silent. Veltar stared at the human technology displays with growing amazement. These primitives had taken discarded repair tools and somehow used them to build a star-spanning civilization. It should have been impossible. "Show me your ships," Veltar demanded. Admiral Youngmi nodded to her aide, who activated the room's main display. Images of human vessels filled the wall, sleek cruisers, massive dreadnoughts, and the elegant exploration ships that had carried humanity to distant stars. "These designs," Zephron said quietly to his leader, "they're based on our principles. Look at the power signatures, the hull materials. They've somehow recreated our technology." Veltar's pride warred with his amazement. These humans had achieved in 30,000 years what had taken the hegemony millions of years to develop. Yet they had done it with nothing but scraps and determination. "Where is our ship?" he asked finally. "The cargo vessel we left in the system contains materials worth more than your entire civilization." Secretary General Tae-jun had been expecting this question. "The vessel you refer to is buried under the Antarctic ice. We discovered it 50 years ago and have been studying it ever since. However, after 30,000 years, any claim of ownership would be difficult to establish under our laws." Veltar's translator struggled with human legal concepts. "Laws? You speak of laws to us? We are the hegemony. We rule 1,000 worlds. And we," said Tae-jun calmly, "are the United Earth Alliance. We rule no one, but we protect everyone. Your ship crashed on our world. By the laws of salvage that govern space travel, it belongs to whoever found it." Admiral Youngmi watched the alien delegation carefully. She could see Zephron translating rapidly for other members of their party. Some looked angry, but others seemed thoughtful. Dr. Hansol tried to redirect the conversation. "Perhaps ownership is less important than understanding. Your ship could teach us both so much about the universe." "The ship contains more than knowledge," Veltar said coldly. "It carries biological samples from across the galaxy. Genetic templates that took our scientists millions of years to collect. Materials that could create or destroy entire species." Dr. Kyung-ho Lim, who had remained quiet until now, suddenly looked very interested. As humanity's leading geneticist, the mention of biological samples caught his attention. "What kind of genetic templates?" Zephron answered before Veltar could stop him. "The building blocks of life itself. DNA patterns that can be used to seed new worlds with life, or to enhance existing species. Your world was one of many that received such gifts in the distant past. The human delegation exchanged glances. The implications were staggering. If the aliens had seeded Earth with life, then humanity itself might be partly alien in origin. "You're saying you created us?" asked Admiral Youngme. "Not created," Veltar corrected. "Enhanced, guided, given the potential to grow beyond what you could achieve alone. Though we never expected you to grow this much." Secretary General Taejun saw an opportunity. "Then perhaps we owe each other more than we realized. You gave us the potential for growth. We've shown what that potential could become. Surely there's room for cooperation rather than conflict." But Veltar was not ready to consider cooperation. His pride in the hegemony's superiority had been challenged by these upstart humans. "The ship and its contents belong to us. We demand their immediate return. And if we refuse?" asked Admiral Youngme. Veltar's three eyes focused on her with cold certainty. "Then we will take them by force. Your technology may be impressive for primitives, but you are still children playing with toys you don't understand." The meeting ended in stalemate. As the alien delegation left, Zephyron lingered for a moment. "Your species has achieved something remarkable," he said quietly to Dr. Hansol. "Not all of us wish to see it destroyed." After the aliens left, the human delegation sat in worried silence. Finally, Secretary General Taejun spoke. "Admiral, what are our chances if they decide to attack?" Youngme considered carefully. "Unknown. Our weapons are based on their technology, but we don't know if they have defenses against their own principles. We need more information." Dr. Hansol was already planning her next move. "I need to get to Antarctica. If that ship is the key to this conflict, we need to understand it completely." As the human delegation prepared for what might be humanity's greatest challenge, none of them knew that deep beneath the Antarctic ice, something ancient was beginning to stir. The ship they had studied for decades was more than just a vessel. It was alive, and it had been waiting for this moment for 30,000 years. Dr. Hansol Kim pressed her face against the cold glass of the observation deck. Below her, the ice-covered surface of Titan stretched endlessly. She had been working on this research station for 3 years now, studying strange objects found in Earth's oldest caves. These objects were unlike anything humans had ever made. "They were too advanced, too perfect. Another sleepless night?" asked Dr. Kyung-Ho Lim as he joined her at the window. He carried 2 cups of coffee, steam rising in the recycled air of the station. Hansol took the cup gratefully. "I keep thinking about those artifacts. The metal doesn't match anything in our periodic table. The energy readings are impossible. Yet here they are." Kyung-Ho nodded. He had run countless tests on the biological samples found with the artifacts. The DNA patterns were strange, almost like they were designed rather than evolved. "Maybe we're asking the wrong questions," he said softly. 3,000 light-years away, Captain Do-hyun Park stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable. His ship was humanity's most advanced vessel, equipped with weapons and shields that could level mountains. The crew of 200 was the best the United Earth Space Force could offer. "Captain," called Lieutenant Jin Woo-an from his station, "long-range sensors are picking up something unusual." Multiple contacts approaching from outside the system. Do-hyun moved to the sensor station. On the screen, he saw 5 massive shapes moving toward Earth. They were huge, each one 10 times larger than his ship. Their design was organic, flowing like living creatures rather than built machines. "How long until they reach Earth?" Do-hyun asked. "At their current speed, 18 hours, Jin-woo replied. His voice was steady, but Do-hyun could hear the tension underneath. Do-hyun activated the ship's communication system. "This is Captain Park to Sol Command. We have unidentified vessels approaching Earth. Request immediate orders." The reply came quickly. Admiral Youngme Choi's face appeared on the main screen. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her eyes were sharp with intelligence. "Captain Park, returned to Earth immediately. All fleet units are being recalled. We may be looking at first contact." On board the lead alien vessel, Overlord Veltar stretched his forearms and opened his 3 eyes. He had been sleeping for most of the journey, as was customary for long voyages. The ship's biological systems had kept him alive and healthy while he dreamed. "My lord," said his aide Zephyron, "we are approaching the 3rd planet, the one where we left our cargo ship." Veltar moved to the viewing chamber. Through the transparent walls, he could see a blue and white sphere growing larger. It looked exactly as he remembered from 30,000 years ago. The same oceans, the same continents, the same small moon, and the primitives? Veltar asked. What do the sensors show? Zephron hesitated. This was not what he had expected to report. My lord, there are artificial structures throughout the system. Ships moving between the planets. Energy signatures that suggest advanced technology. Veltar's third eye focused on his aide. Impossible. When we left, they were barely using stone tools. They lived in caves and hunted with spears. Perhaps another species has colonized the system, Zephron suggested. The galaxy is large. Many civilizations could have found this place. Veltar considered this. It was the only logical explanation. Some other race had claimed this system while the hegemony was away. Well, they would soon learn their mistake. Back on Earth, the emergency session of the Global Council was in chaos. Representatives from every nation and colony world had gathered in Geneva. Secretary General Tae Jun-yoon tried to maintain order as voices rose in dozens of languages. We should prepare for war, shouted Representative Sora Kim from the Korean delegation. These aliens could be here to conquer us. We should try to communicate first, argued Dr. Han Sol, who had been called back from Titan for this emergency. This could be the greatest moment in human history. Tae-jun raised his hand for silence. Admiral Choi, what is our military readiness? Young Mi stood at the presentation screen. Behind her, tactical displays showed the positions of Earth's defense fleet. We have 12 dreadnoughts, 47 cruisers, and over 200 smaller vessels. The Seoul defense grid is at full power. But sir, these alien ships are unlike anything we've ever seen. Our weapons might not be effective. The alien fleet reached Earth's outer defense perimeter at exactly 1800 hours. Immediately, warning signals began broadcasting on all frequencies. Unknown vessels, you are entering United Earth space. Identify yourselves and state your intentions. On the alien flagship, Veltar stared at the communication in amazement. They speak, he said slowly. Not only do they speak, but they have spread their language across space. What are your orders, my lord? Asked Zephron. Veltar thought for a moment. Whoever these new inhabitants were, they would need to be dealt with carefully. Send a response. Tell them we are the rightful owners of this system. We have come to reclaim our property. The message that reached Earth caused immediate panic. Admiral Choi read it aloud to the Global Council. They claim they own our solar system. They say they're here for their property. What property? Demanded Secretary General Tae-jun. Dr. Han Sol felt her heart racing. Could it be possible? The artifacts, she whispered. The ones we've been studying. What if they're not just ancient objects? What if they belong to these aliens? The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. If the artifacts were alien technology, then humanity had been studying and copying advanced alien science for thousands of years. Every major breakthrough, from fusion power to faster-than-light travel, might have come from these mysterious objects. Captain Do-hyun received new orders within the hour. You will escort a diplomatic team to Luna City. The aliens have agreed to meet, but they insist it be on what they call neutral ground. They don't recognize Earth as belonging to humans. As the human fleet formed up around the alien vessels, people across the world watched their screens in fascination and terror. The alien ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They pulsed with internal light, and their surfaces seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Dr. Han Sol packed her research carefully. Everything she had learned about the artifacts might be crucial in the coming negotiations. As she prepared to leave Titan, she looked one last time at the strange objects that had consumed her career. Soon, she might finally understand where they had come from. The future of humanity hung in the balance, and it all depended on a meeting between species separated by 30,000 years of history.